Volkswagen Tiguan is one of the smallest SUVs in this test. Its 2-litre turbo diesel engine has the least amount of power and torque in this contest. Still, the Volkswagen is rated to tow 2,500 kilograms, which is considerably more than some of the other bigger SUVs in this test. This Volkswagen is armed with a German manufacturer's direct shift gearbox, or DSG. The engine produces only 103 kilowatts of power and 320 newton meters of torque at 1,750 RPM. But the 7-speed gearbox always seems to be in exactly the right gear at the right time. In typical Volkswagen fashion, the interior is classy and understated with an air of quality. And in that typical German way, all the controls are easy and intuitive to use. So you don't have to study the owner's manual for weeks to fully understand all the functions. The same thing happens on the outside, where the styling is cool and nice, but maybe a bit on the conservative side. So let's move on to towing and that big Jurgens Penta. We had our reservations after hooking up the Jurgens van behind the Volksie. The Tiguan just looked too small, but if ever there was a prime example that one shouldn't judge a book by its cover or an SUV's towing performance by its physical size, then this VW Tiguan is it. In our books, the most credit for this must go to that DSG gearbox. It manages to keep the relatively underpowered engine revving in exactly the right range at exactly the right time. Time to find out what the judges thought of the small little Volkswagen with the big heart.
The Foxy, it's got a great engine, great gearbox combination with the DSG twin clutch, but because of the car's dimensions, it's a very short wheelbase.
Nippy, very well balanced. I just think at this stage it's competing against in a heavier weight class than it's supposed to.
Well, I thought that little 2-litre engine wouldn't pull a carrot out of a cow's bum, but it was actually quite impressive in there. I mean, the torque is, the maximum torque is very low down, so it's got quite a gutsy pull-off initially, and then it cruises pretty well. Overall, quite a pleasant surprise, the VW.
It's a yuppie's car. You can't go caravanning in a vehicle that is that small. It's too short wheelbase. There's no space for the family. Caravanning is about family.
The Tiguan, fun enough, is the sportiest vehicle here. It really felt great as an all-round car, and although it has the least power at 103 kilowatts, maybe it was the gearbox, the dual shift gearbox, that was really responsive, unlike some of the auto boxes that are really sloshy.
The VW gearbox and engine is very impressive. The ratios is right, but the car feels a little bit light. So maybe not the best, but close.
The Volkswagen on its own is a great little car. That 7-speed DSG gearbox is an absolute delight to drive. The engine and the gearbox work incredibly well together as well. It's on the open road, it's wonderful, it's very comfortable as well. Typical Volkswagen interior, great suspension system.
I think the caravan, or that gives you a feeling that the caravan is too heavy for that car. Out on the open road, even directional stability, it pushes the back end around. The fast cornering, the fast sweeps at high speed, also it's not convincing.